Okay, we are recording. And then I also just have a couple of housekeeping announcements. So please keep yourself muted and your cameras turned off. This is going to help us with the bandwidth. If everybody has their cameras turned on, then it just makes the connection slow and spotty, and so we don't want that. And it also helps to make the screen a little less cluttered, so that only Christine and Mark have their cameras turned on, and you could focus on them. As you go on, as we move through this this talk, please post your questions in the chat. You can scroll down, move your cursor down to the bottom and click on chat, and then you'll be able to ask questions there. Christine and Mark will be kind of answering questions throughout. But then also at the end, once we kind of open it up for Q&A, if you have a question, put it in the chat. We will read it out loud, and you can unmute yourself when you hear your question and your name, and then you can make a clarification or a follow-up question or something like that. So we have a lot of people on the line. We have about 80 people registered. So we're going to try to keep this organized. Otherwise, we'd love to just unmute everyone and just have like a free-flowing discussion. But this doesn't really. This platform isn't really conducive to that. So I also should let you know that we're going to be sharing the slide deck and a recording of this talk at sustainablejersey.com. You can find the virtual sustainability summit page on our website, and the recording should be up there within the next 24 hours. Okay, so why don't we get started? I'm going to share my screen. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Christine and Mark. We are really excited to have them today. You've probably heard Sustainable Jersey talk about this Bergen County Styrofoam Free initiative. These guys won an award at our luncheon last fall down in Atlantic City. For the great work that they're doing. I won't get into the details. I'll let Mark and Christine cover it all, but it really is a fantastic model that sort of came from an idea that one town was doing with their schools, and other towns said, we like this, let's all kind of collaborate, and it's grown into something that is pretty impressive and impactful. And I'm going to turn it over to Christine and Mark so they could tell you more about it.
Good afternoon. My name is Christine Key. I have been working on the Sustainable Jersey Bergen County Styrofoam Free Committee to help educate and raise awareness on hazards of styrofoam, along with several other town members. The Bergen County Hub applied for and was awarded a regional grant from Sustainable Jersey in the amount of $6,200. Grant period runs from November 2019 to April 30th, 2020. 8 Bergen County towns participated initially, and an additional 8 Bergen County towns signed on once the program started. Next slide, please. The program goals are to reduce XPS styrofoam, which are food containers, and recycle EPS styrofoam, which is mostly packing materials. Next slide. The program consists of 4 parts. Part 1, education. A Science of Styrofoam STEM program was created. The presentation is geared towards school-age children, so the 45-minute presentation was told through the eyes of a sleepy scientist. 12 presentations were given. The slide shows the presentation given in Fair Lawn with several of our hub members, along with Lisa Swain from Fair Lawn. Oh, back, Lauren, please.
Sorry.
No problem. We created a trifold pamphlet and other program literature, which was distributed at all of our collection drives. Partway through the program, we distributed a styrofoam quiz to gauge the effectiveness of the program. Part 2, I'm going to slide it over to Mark. Next slide.
Okay, this is our styrofoam-free, on the left, is our styrofoam-free certificate we gave to businesses. And when I say styrofoam, I mean XPS, the food contact stuff. And on the right is the window cling that we gave out. We ordered and distributed about 200 of these. The business owners that got them were very excited to get them because in many cases they went through pains to rid themselves of styrofoam. And a few I did myself when businesses were pointed out that they thought they were styrofoam free and weren't because of small things like egg cartons in a deli. They did them immediately. And the program worked very good from the perspective of the business owners. We're very happy to be recognized for doing this. Go ahead.
Part 3, recycling. Styrofoam collection drives for EPS were held and were open to all Bergen County towns. At the drives, we collected petition signatures to ban XPS, and we collected email addresses as well. We accumulated over 100 emails, which we used to communicate future drives and general information. We held 13 ESP recycling drives, and 3 additional drives are planned. Recycling EPS permanent containers. Through the works of this committee and the towns involved, 7 towns began ongoing styrofoam collection programs with permanent containers. This is a huge accomplishment. Part 4, next slide, please. Over to Mark.
The ordinances and resolutions. This was perhaps the most difficult part, especially from the perspective of it takes a long time to accomplish this. And some communities had started this on their own, like Ridgewood, and done it somewhat independently, though we did help a lot, consultation and talking to them. And a lot of communities are still in process on this. One of the things we did was the county wanted to rid itself of XPS in parks and buildings and in any contracts with anybody that dealt with them. And they've been working on this for a couple of years. And we found this out because we started going to their freeholder meetings and just giving updates on our program and our process. And what we didn't really anticipate was we helped to kind of restart their effort, and the county was able to, in a few months, complete that. So now Bergen County parks are free of styrofoam. So, go ahead.
And I just wanted to add that that last picture, the hub members, several of the hub members were present at the meeting that the Bergen County freeholders unanimously passed the ordinance 19-25, banning styrofoam XPS foodware from county vendors and property, as Mark noted. And Mark set up a schedule and attended most of the Bergen County freeholders meetings monthly, as well as other hub members in the group. And they really appreciated. Tracy Zor was the lead on this, and she was so appreciative for all the work that Mark had done leading this part of it and all of the other towns that were participating.
There's one more thing I want to say, and we did this based on advice from the Audubon Society. When we went to the freeholders meetings, we did not do anything confrontational, anything pushy, anything political. We just simply reported information and talked about it. And they were very happy about that. Go ahead.
Press coverage. Our program was featured on the front cover of the Anjac Report magazine in spring of 2019. The EPS collection drives, photos, and articles were featured in northjersey.com. And we received the 2019 Creativity and Innovation Award from Sustainable Jersey in November 2019, which was a huge accomplishment, and everyone was so appreciative of this. Next slide. Our sponsors and partners included ANJAC, Local Environment Matters, Food and Water Watch, Hackensack Riverkeeper, Northern New Jersey Community Foundation, Suez, and others. So now we'll do the science of styrofoam presentation. Mark, unless you wanted to add anything before we go into this.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So Sustainable Jersey Bergen County Hub provided the Science of Styrofoam STEM program for school kids. We're going to have this class right here, right now, but I'm going to condense it from 45 minutes to a 2-minute presentation. Are you ready? Here we go. Next slide, please. So, the science of styrofoam. Next slide. There are 2 types of styrofoam. Expanded polystyrene foam, or EPS is its nickname, which is mostly large packing materials. It is readily available, it is readily recyclable. However, most of the EPS ends up in the landfill, and most towns need recycling equipment and facilities so we can recycle locally. The second type is extruded polystyrene foam, or XPS, which is used for single-use disposable foodware and is not recycled. It is hazardous to human health due to neurotoxins and likely carcinogens leaching into food and drink. Next slide, please. Styrofoam, polystyrene, extruded polystyrene foam, XPS number 6. Here are the 2 most popular culprits in this group. Next slide. What exactly is the problem with XPS food containers made of polystyrene? Back one, Lauren, please. Thank you. Styrene, the chemical, is in styrofoam. The chemical styrene is a highly toxic hydrocarbon. We aren't sure what the full effects of styrene is to our body, but we do know that prolonged exposure to neurotoxins and likely carcinogens like styrene are not good for our bodies. Styrene in large doses can make us sick. Next. Styrene leached from extruded polystyrene foam when it was in contact with hot foods and drinks, such as coffee and other hot beverages, acidic foods and drinks, such as acidic fruits, grapefruits, lemons, limes, others, fatty foods and drinks, all of our favorites, and basically everything you eat and drink. XPS is hazardous to human health due to neurotoxins and likely carcinogens leaching into food and drink. Now the salad, the fresh lettuce there, is not the problem, but when you put the dressing on, that's where it becomes a problem when it's placed into a styrofoam takeout container. Next slide. We need to ban extruded polystyrene foam cups, plates, egg cartons, and food containers. New York City did it. The Bergen County Board of Chosen Freeholders did it. 143 American towns, cities, and counties have banned styrofoam. You can do that too in your town. Next. 25 billion styrofoam coffee cups are thrown into landfill every year, and 74 billion styrofoam food containers are thrown into landfill every year. Polystyrene manufacturing is the 5th largest producer of hazardous waste in the USA. Thank you. Well, that went pretty quick, Lauren.
It did, but I don't think anyone will be upset about being able to return to their, work and daily life sooner than expected, right? But do we have any questions happening in the chat? We encourage you all to, throw your questions in the chat. We probably could, have people unmute themselves and ask them as well. If it gets a little too hectic, then we can go back to the chat, but there is
one question from Regine Delsey. The question is, what companies do you use to recycle the EPS and XPS after you collect them? Another one, so I'll answer that. We do not recycle the XPS. XPS is basically not recyclable. It is theoretically recyclable, but once it comes in contact with food, you can't recycle it. And since there's not that much of it, it doesn't come in contact with food, it just doesn't work. The two companies we use for EPS recycling are Foam Pack Industries in Springfield, New Jersey, and Polymolding in Haskell, New Jersey. I would say towards the end of what we've been doing recently, we've been doing much more with Polymolding in Haskell, New Jersey, and I think the way forward for our permanent programs is using them.
Mark and Christine. Oh, go ahead. You want to read them, Mark? That'd be fine.
Next question is, how do participating businesses earn their claims? Do you want to do that, Christine? The question is from Vicky Benetti.
Mark,
Do you want me to?
yes, please.
Actually, it's pretty simple. All they have to do is be XPS free. That means no cups. Like a deli can't have eggs for sale in XPS cartons, no plates. And it's the expanded polystyrene, not the forks and spoons that may be made out of polystyrene that we were after. And those were done, all of that was done locally. We did not have one uniform set of criteria other than it needs to be free, but we let every municipality kind of tailor it to themselves.
There's a question from Jessica Carone. Is EPS number 6 plastic as well as XPS?
They are both the same number.
Okay. Frank Derby's asking, at the collections, did XPS make it into the collection?
No, XPS did not make it into the collection because we cannot recycle it. Neither Springfield, Foam Pack Industries and Springfield or Polymolding and Haskell would take those for recycling.
So what we did was, people that brought them, at first we would just take them and put them into a separate trash bag. And then we decided that it would be a good learning situation if we said to them, we're sorry, we cannot recycle these, and they would take them back. So that worked well in changing behavior as well for the program.
Great. And Christine, I see you wrote in here Polymolding Haskell, New Jersey, and Foam Pack Industries, Springfield, which is the response to that one question.
Yes, yes.
Great. How about, so Joe Besralian says, do you guys have a Facebook page for this success as any way to share the news, links to your slides, etc.? The factual information is motivating.
So we have a Facebook page, and we'll drop the link in here, as well as an email address that we send out all of our information on. We let people know about the next drive. And on that, the next drive, Glen Rock stepped up, and we're holding 4 Saturday drives in 2020. Unfortunately, due to COVID, they had to cancel their February 8th drive. The May 2nd drive was their next drive, and I just got word from Glen Rock that they had to cancel that one as well. So the upcoming drive in the Bergen County area will be August 8th And then after that is November 7th. So start saving your styrofoam if you're in the Bergen County area. The drives are held from 10 to 1 p.m. at their composting center. And all of the hub members usually, or many of the hub members usually go to the drives and help out. And we will drop that in the chat also by the end of this session.
I'd also like to add to that, any municipality can do this, or any group. It doesn't have to be a municipality. And anybody that wants to do this in Bergen County, certainly we would love to help. We actually had one that we did at a boat club in Hackensack. It turned out to be a fairly big one, and local news actually came. So it doesn't always have to be a municipality. It could be anything. It could be a church group, other civic group.
And there's a question about transportation of the EPS to the recycling facilities. Do you need a large truck? Who pays for them? This is coming from Joanne Held, who is the chair of the Hopewell Valley Green Team. And I know they do pretty regular styrofoam drives themselves. So she's probably looking for some best practices.
Want to answer it, Christine, or should I?
Oh, I was responding to a question. I'm sorry.
I'll answer it. We used, I think, exclusively trucks that we rented from U-Haul. And U-Haul works out well because you don't need any kind of higher level license to drive a U-Haul truck. They don't have air brakes. So somebody with just a regular driver's license can rent a 26-foot U-Haul truck, which is very big. But we used them several times in Glen Rock and a couple of other drives. They were paid for through the grant that we got. The towns that have permanent recycling programs as a result of this project, largely, almost exclusively as a result of the project, they pay for them themselves as just part of their regular DPW recycling programs.
And Mark, can you just stress again, who are those towns that now have recycling programs?
It's what I have, and it may be more than this, but the ones that I know of are Inglewood, Teaneck, Leonia, Ridgefield Park, Oradell, and Glen Rock has so many drives that it's basically a permanent program. And Oakland is in there, and Upper Saddle River.
Wow, that's really impressive. And that's all from the work that you guys are doing, but also do you contribute that to the fact that you have this Bergen County hub, which brings you all regularly together and you can give these updates and stay connected on, you know, the exciting things that are happening with this project?
Yes, I would say the only one of these that may have happened without the hub is Teaneck's recycling program. But all the rest are due to this project, 100%.
That's great. How expensive is EPS recycling? Vicki Benetti is asking from down in Washington Township.
The bags, you need to bag them, and we'll send a link to the bag that we use from Uline. It's a 48 by 60, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 mil thick clear bag. You need to put them in clear bags. $100 gets you, I think, 40 bags, which for Ridgefield Park's recycling program, we go through 2 of those boxes a year. And the other part is the rental of the truck. And depending on if you do it during the week or on the weekend, the charge per mile varies. It's 99 cents a mile during the week and $2 a mile on the weekend, plus the truck, which is about $40. And you should get the insurance through U-Haul. To spend the extra $15, get the insurance through them in case anybody happens. It doesn't have to go back on the volunteer's car insurance policy.
Great. How about a procedural question from Jessica Corone? What is EPS recycled into? I assume it's downgraded and can't be recycled an infinite number of times.
Actually, no. depending on how it's recycled, it can really be recycled nearly infinite. It does get downgraded if you just grind it up and use it in a compressed form. But Princeton Molding makes molding out of it that you wouldn't know from wood when you look at it from, the chair in a hotel to the ceiling, which might be 10, 12 feet away. It just looks like regular molding. Picture moldings that you've bought could be made by Princeton Molding. So you really can't tell that it's been recycled.
Jessica just posted a follow-up question. Does that mean there is chemical recycling for EPS?
Maybe she could unmute and explain what she means by that.
Oh,
Sure.
so usually, well, maybe this is way too technical for this, but usually when plastics get recycled, they get ground up into smaller bits, and so the polymers shorten. But like they just invented a way to chemically recycle at least number one plastic, where it basically gets reduced to the individual molecules, and so you can use it infinite number of times.
I honestly don't know the answer to your question.
Okay, I doubt it. So
yeah,
I doubt it.
I have an answer from our perspective, what we focused on. Both polymolding and Foam Pack Industries in Springfield, what they would do is they would take the EPS from us, grind it up and compress it using cold compression to just take the air out. They would bale it, and then they would put it on the spot market to sell. When different companies would just buy it as raw material for their recycling, for their input,
Okay.
for their products.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And the last I knew was worth about $400 a ton. It takes a lot of EPS to make a ton.
Yeah. That's some lightweight stuff.
Yeah.
Well, so we don't have any more questions. Christine, you've been posting a lot of stuff in the chat. So I'll leave, when we are ready to end this talk, I will leave it open a little bit so that people, have an opportunity to write down these resources. If people need to get in touch with you all, they have been able to think about it over lunch, maybe dinner, they have more questions, the sjbergenhub@gmail email is the best way to reach you guys.
That's correct, yes. And we have a handy dandy trifold that I was trying to just drop into the chat, but it didn't go in. So I copy and pasted the ban XPS with the link to sign a petition if anyone is interested in doing that. It's from change.org, so it's the Act Now, very simple form, and if you've done them before, it'll already recognize your information. And it's just sending a note to our legislatures about the hazards of styrofoam, and if they would please consider moving this forward.
And that's for everywhere across the state, Christine, or is it just specifically for Bergen?
Well, I think anyone that responds to it would, I don't think they're turning anyone away. So we have been sending it and advertising it for Bergen County, but,
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Any last questions, folks?
I'm putting in the chat the bags we use.
Great.
And the bag, just a note, I'm sorry, Lauren, just a note on the bags. We started this off, and of course, there's always a learning curve. So we had, we learned from every single drive that we did. The first time was our dear friend, Carol Peterson, who got in the truck and was putting the foam in there like a puzzle. And she came out covered in little pieces of styrofoam, which is part of the hazard to our marine life. It looked like little fish eggs. And because of the static, she couldn't get it off. And she was inhaling all of that. And so from that point on, it was much more productive to use these clear plastic bags. So everything is bagged in everything is put into the bag as it comes out of the cars. And then the people that take it to the end facility to unpack it and put it into their containers, it just makes things go so much faster, and it's so much more productive, and they appreciate it on the other end as well.
Okay. And I just a little tip, I just was able to copy and paste. I just kind of clicked in the chat and dragged it all the way up. I was able to copy and paste it into a Word document, and everything came out, links and everything.
Awesome.
So I would suggest that anybody who wants these resources, do that, because it's a really easy way to capture all of this. Any final thoughts, Christine and Mark, before we go?
Even though the grant is over, the project isn't over. We're still going to be doing this through the hub. And in fact, there may be enough momentum through Inglewood, which has a large DPW. They have actually purchased a plastic bag baler as kind of an side project to this, and they are looking at an EPS compactor, which is, they're very expensive, $50,000 to $75,000. So that by no means is the project over, just the grant is over.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Christine and Mark, for being with us and to share the details of this project. Like I said, everybody might have heard Sustainable Jersey touting the success of this group and the work that you guys have done as a model for the rest of the state. But being able to hear the details of how you all did it, and especially I liked the little shortened version of the science of styrofoam. Personally, I haven't been able to make any of the trainings over the past 2 years, so that was nice to see. So thank you so much. And thank you everybody for joining us. I'm in Red Bank right now, and a huge storm just blew through. So stay dry and wherever you are, and safe and healthy. And hopefully we will see you tomorrow. We have an Earth Day happy hour happening at 4 o'clock. You can go to the sustainablejersey.com website and click on the homepage. There's a slider picture for the virtual sustainability summit, and then you'll see all of the events. We just started. This is our second event. We've got many more to come over the next 4 weeks. So hopefully we'll see you all there. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Lauren.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everyone. As I said, I'll just leave this open for a minute or so people could just copy the resources.
There's one thing I can add to how you did that. If you click anywhere in that chat window and then hold down Control and tap A, it will highlight everything, and then you can copy it.
Awesome. That's why we need each other, right? Everybody's got their own tricks.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being with us.